talk football and current events. Sitting and chatting with the very best guests. With two Scottish boys and we're loving it. So if you like witty banter, check the former #1 podcast on iTunes. Sitting and chatting.
Hello and welcome back to Sitting and Chatting podcast. I'm Liam Whyte.
I'm Thayjamieallan.
Jamie, we keep having quite a lot of issues with this, don't we?
It's not easy, but could be worse. There's people worse off in lockdown at the moment.
There are. That's a positive way to think on it. Good on you.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say though, even I think it would still be better though if we were together. We were having issues rather than being separate. But
well, if we were getting paid for it, we could claim it as work, but we're not. So,
well, we can. That's a charity. That's a charity. We're providing a service to people basically for free.
It's a non-profit charity, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't think it would stick.
Shocking that from the
government. Nonetheless, we're getting there. We're ploughing through regardless of what's happening.
Yeah.
We've had a few issues with recording and someone's internet, but in general, we're here and we're managing.
Yeah, well, here's hoping that it continues, but we'll find out soon enough, won't we?
That's very true.
But yeah, so Jamie, big news. Well, to be honest, there wasn't a lot of news, but big news this week. Big old Conor McGregor. He's finished, isn't he? I think that's it.
I don't think he'll finish like that.
I don't think he'll finish like that either. But him being at the elite end of UFC, that's finished now.
Aye.
Which is unfortunate because that was clear as day during that last fight.
The thing is, after watching the highlights, it was all air until we took the knock on his knee or his leg, if you will.
Yeah, the dead leg killed him. So for those that don't know what we're talking about, I suppose weirdly, McGregor had his rematch with Poirier. How many days ago was it now? 2 days ago, was it, for us at least, on the day of recording this. I wasn't planning on watching it and I fell asleep and then I had a really bad night's sleep and thankfully I woke up about 10 minutes before the fight, so I was like, yeah, beauty.
It was yesterday.
Yesterday, whatever day it was, yeah. Spent however long trying to look for a totally legal stream. Eventually found one in about minute 1 of the first round, and then obviously I turned the stream off about 1.5 minutes later. Which shows how fast it went. But now
the thing is, it was never going to be a long-lasting fight. I stick by man, so you can't go to a sport like that for that long and expect to come back and compete at the highest level of what you were when you left the sport.
Yeah, no, I totally get you, and it makes sense. I just suppose the hope would be that he would have done a bit more, but I think you see that he's lost the hunger, he's lost the desire from it. He's nowhere near the same competitor, if you like, that he was. Well, going back even like 3 or 4 years ago, sort of thing. Because obviously he did have he had a mini comeback against Cerrone last year, which everyone sort of seen as like a warm-up fight. And now this happened, unfortunately.
He'll never fight a bigger fighter than Poirier again, I don't think.
Oh yeah, no. I think if he'd won that, he would have been able to go and do something else. But I think now that was it. He's unfortunately finished. Were you happy, sad, couldn't care less?
Couldn't care less. I feel as though when he takes breaks that long and comes back and just goes into fighting, the sixth best in that division, people think he deserved to fight. He only got it because it was a rematch. It was no.
No, he got it
He
because
didn't
it was
deserve
his
it.
name. He got it because it was his name. There's no other reason why
Aye.
he would have gotten it.
But he didn't deserve that fight if they've
Yeah.
been out for so long to come back. But now you know what? It's his whole humbled approach as well. Fuck him. It's got to be go back to his old ways.
You appreciate it more when he's a cunt.
I only liked it when he was taking the piss at everybody and a cunt. And you know, I hate him, but he made the sport entertaining.
Yeah.
With that side of it. You know, you were excited for the press conference before you were even thinking about the fight.
Yeah.
Because you knew he was going to take the piss at everybody, but now it's just the complete opposite. It's like his press conferences, like, oh, that's humble. I mean, he even fucking cried in one of them because somebody read it a quote. Like, grow up, you're a fucking, you're an old man. You know what I mean?
You're an old man. What is he, 31? Something like that.
Aye.
Aye.
Old bastard, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, I know, Christ. Imagine being that old, huh? But now, like, for me, it was for me, I'm slightly gutted because, don't get me wrong, the man of Conor McGregor is clearly an issue. I think he's probably grown up a wee bit, as you can tell by his press conferences nowadays. But he obviously, let's face it, he's not without his fucking issues. The man's got quite a lot of problems. If you go back even the last sort of 3 or 4 years, you can, when he sort of was done with the UFC, you can sort of see all those issues. But as much as I don't care for him as a man, as a fighter, he is like pretty much the sole reason why I was drawn into the UFC at first. Like the one and only reason. And there's no one that's really captured the imagination of the people like he did when he first came on the scene and when he sort of got his the belts at both the same time. There was no one as big as that in fighting, and whether it be boxing, MMA, whatever it might be. But yeah, like he's like even when I was with my mates who none of them also care about fighting, they would also happily, if they were around at mine, stay up till 4 or 5 in the morning just to watch him fight. You know, couldn't care less about fighting, but because it's Conor McGregor, yeah, I'm in for the crack, as he would say. So yeah,
it's definitely a household name.
That's the thing, though. That's why I'm gutted, though, is because I'll never see that again. I realised after that fight, I will never see the sort of top tier fighter that made me fall in love with the sport, which is kind of a shame.
Mm-hmm. But it's the same with football as well, though. You know, all good things come to an end. Players retire. I just see this as a retirement. You know what I mean? And we'll never ever get somebody as match him. In the respect, nobody will ever be as good as press conferences as him. But there'll be others. Do you know what I mean? There'll be others that make you go, I'm going to watch that press conference because he's a laugh.
Yeah.
But, in respect to having somebody the same calibre as him, it will never happen again. And nobody will ever own 2 belts at the one time again.
You think that'll never happen again?
Nah, no chance.
See, for me, in some ways, I think the competition sort of the elite status isn't quite as what it once was. Now that you've got, I know Khabib sort of said that he was coming back, or he's hinted and hasn't hinted, but when him and McGregor were at like the top, that's like elite status, and there's no one.
Well, I'm pretty sure he was only going to come back if McGregor won.
Yeah.
Or at least done enough to merit coming back for. Now he's not got nothing to come back for. There's nobody on Khabib's level.
That's the problem though. Because of that now, like, I mean, don't get me wrong, there are still elite fighters, but there's no one as good as that. They're like the Ronaldo, Messi level of fighting, and then below that you've got obviously great people, great fighters, but there's no one on their level, no one worth. Well, no, there's obviously people worth watching, but it's nowhere near as entertaining for me anymore now that he's gone. Oh, now that both of them are gone, actually.
I know.
Are you still into your fit? You're a bit more. Well, I don't know if this is true, but you always seem that you're a bit more into your boxing than your UFC. For me, is that true or?
Nah, it's very much a mix of both. I think the UFC was really where it was at. I think because I watched so much of levels of boxing, so whether it's heavyweight or featherweight, I'll watch it.
Yeah.
Because I can nitpick at the good things out of the fights. You know, with a featherweight, it's how light they are on their feet, how good their movement is because they're not a hard hitter. And then you've got the heavyweights, it's a case of who defends better, because as soon as somebody lands that punch, it's night-night, you know what I mean? So boxing is great to watch if you're a optimistic viewer, if you can see the good and the bad, you know.
Okay.
So I watched that Mike Tyson when he came back. Fight was terrible.
Yeah.
And it wasn't worth watching. End of story. I'll admit that. But, you know, a really, really optimistic fighter would be like, well, you know, this happened and this happened. That's not me. Can see, you know, in Joshua fights or whatever, I see where he's good. People say it was a boring fight, but I'll be like, well, I seen this and it was that good. Do you know what I mean? So I can see that side of it, but UFC is different gravy. UFC, you've got to be skilled to beyond belief to be able to do what they do, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So
nobody excites me more as watching Khabib though.
Really?
The way he grapples is amazing.
So now that that's finished pretty much for Conor's career, does he get in the run with Jake Paul, do you think? Does he take that? Nah, you think that's completely deaded?
That would totally deaden his career.
True.
That takes you from being here to being here.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely deadens your career. Floyd Mayweather's only doing it because he genuinely does need money. People laugh and joke about it. He actually does need money, so a problem.
Yeah, I mind we talked about it a few podcasts ago that he was desperate for it. But nah, like, yeah, no, I totally with you. But part of me almost wants to see him now take it because it's clear that he's finished at the top. I want to see him now take that and then knock Jake Paul.
I'll be admitting it though.
Yeah, but you know what? I don't care. I mean, Jake Paul gets knocked out. Think about it. Jake Paul gets knocked out, Jamie. Think how great that would be.
I know, but I see Jake Paul needs to take another fight before he can merit even a response.
Oh yeah, he's never fought a professional boxer. I know the fight with Gibb was a pro fight, and I know the fight with Nate Robinson was a pro fight, but you know, Gibb was a YouTuber at first, and Nate Robinson was a fucking basketball player. You know, maybe if
throw this into the mix, though. But Billy Joe Saunders.
He would fucking kill him. He would absolutely kill the boy.
Fling him in the ring with that, and if you do enough to merit a response for the likes of Conor McGregor, fair enough.
Nah, here's the thing, right? As much of a household name that is Billy Joe Saunders is, it's not enough as like a McGregor, because he knows if McGregor takes a fight with Conor, he surely knows that he's getting walloped, he's getting knocked out. Like there's a 9 out of 10 chance he's probably gonna get knocked out. If he does, if he goes up against fucking Billy Joe Saunders in his prime, well, okay, not quite in his prime, but he's close enough to it. You know, the money isn't as good, and he'll be knocked out. There's no chance he's taking it.
I agree, but he needs that sort of fight in order to merit a response for Conor McGregor. Because if you think about it, he's went from Gibb to Nate to Conor McGregor.
Yeah, it doesn't deserve it. I'm not trying to say it does.
Neither does Logan Paul.
Oh yeah,
it's knocked out KSI and goes straight to Mayweather. Like, that just doesn't happen.
That is really like that's from like going in the deep end of like a toddler's pool to like getting thrown in with sharks covered in blood.
It's like I understand that idea, that you know, the idea behind that fight, but with you know, Jake Paul actually wants to take it as a serious path. He's admitted that. So
I mean, if he wants to take, if he the thing is, he doesn't, does he? Does he really want to take it?
He does. He wants to be a boxer that goes 10-0, and then he said he might be finished after that.
Well,
that's what he said. So,
well, let's hope he gets fucking stopped in the third one. Third time lucky, you know what they say. I've had no fuck. He's already had this third fight. Fuck. Dead, I forgot. But yeah, big sad.
Aye.
But so
that
like,
wasn't a pro fight though, was it?
Nah, that was head guards on that. So what do you
It's usually two,
see? What do you see happening then for Conor McGregor? What is next? Do you think he gets back in the ring again? Do you think it'll be slow?
I think he does. I don't think he should, but I think he does. I'd be a pundit and focus on your whiskey. That's it. I would go.
He would be such a great pundit. He would be such a good pundit.
He will do that, I think he will.
Yeah, he's got. Yeah, the UFC would be stupid not to offer him a contract to do that.
Aye.
I mean, they gave one to Snoop Dogg. I'm sure they can give some money away to him.
Exactly. But I think he will get back in the ring though.
Oh yeah, no, I agree with you. I don't think he'll be Jake Paul, but I think at one point, probably not for another year now, he will get back in the ring against someone much less.
I can hope it's not Jake Paul.
It'll be against someone much less competent as well than Dustin Poirier, and he'll dust him off, and everyone will think again, oh, he's back. But you know, I think even I, as a dick rider of Conor McGregor, as I've been called, I know that he's finished at the top now. There's no arguments anymore. It's like almost when Gerrard was like coming in his last season of Liverpool. It's like, you know, he's just not quite there, but you just hope that something happens.
Aye.
The magic continues, but yeah, I think he's really finished. But yeah, no. So away from that sort of side of sport, the only other sort of thing that I wanted to bring up, because I'll be honest, Jamie, I didn't want to talk too much about football today. However, I seized the opportunity when I seen something I actually wanted to talk about came up. Like Lampard got sacked about 2 or 3 hours before recording this podcast.
Yeah.
Did they
I think for the Chelsea board, it's a rational decision. It's like a rash, decision.
Okay.
I think it's deserved. You know, if you can go out and spend the millions that he did, bring in names like Havertz, Werner, you know, alone, and then you've got Thiago Silva at the back, who, you know, people can say what they want. He's a good defender, simple as that. They also spent millions on a goalkeeper.
Pulisic the year before, Kovacic the year before.
Yeah. Pulisic I'll leave to one side, but well, Ben Chilwell and add into that, yeah, but leave Pulisic out. But spending that amount of money and to be sat 9th in the league, it's just not good enough.
Are they 9th?
They're 9th as of recording, yeah. And
but
it's just not good enough.
But they are a few points. It's not like they're millions of points away. They're a few points.
They're a few points off it. And last season he had a good season in his first season.
Yeah, he did.
You know, he got top 4 there now. So
yeah, he got 4th.
Yeah, aye. And I think that's where the rash side of it comes in, because I think they've seen their 9th. They've went, fuck this. We've got a chance this year because, you know, Liverpool's not playing great. You know, there's nobody else really challenging for it. And if Man U can challenge, we can challenge. So if they bring in Thomas Tuchel, as it's rumoured to happen, they'll finish 4th again. But there's no way they'll win the league. It's very rash. Very rash. So. But he should. I said this for the start though. When they brought him in originally, I said they should have done another year at Derby. Because another year at Derby would have won the league. Because he was doing so well. And he threw it away, understandably.
It's one of those things. Like, I mean, yeah, I didn't think he was right from day one either. And do you know what? I'm glad, because I'm sick of the fucking football Twitter gremlins that all have Lampard in the profile picture or Werner and that, saying, we're going to win the league. We're the best team ever. Like, fuck off. Do you know what, though? This is kind of good in a way, because it proves that once again, the Galacticos way of doing things doesn't actually work. You can't just throw hundreds of millions of pounds one season into and instantly win the league. You have to take your time over it.
I think it's... Let me just check something. So, yeah, so here's Derby, right?
Right.
Derby, fourth in the league, failed in the playoffs when Lampard was there. This season, without Lampard, 21st.
Yeah.
So that's a whole, chunk of points that they've not got there. They're 5 points off the drop. They'll no drop, especially with Rooney taking over. He's got the hunger to keep them up, I believe. But to go for that to that, mind blowing. He would have won the league if he stayed on, I think.
You think he would have won the league?
I genuinely think he would have. He was doing
in the same year that Leeds won it, because bear in mind that would have been the year.
I think, well, right, maybe he would have at least got up into the Prem.
Okay. Right.
At a minimum. But I watched him when he was at Derby and I was like, fucking hell, he's like doing really, really well. And Championship isn't easy, as you know. It's a very tough league to compete in. But it's one of those things where I think if he stayed on another year with the investment that Derby gave him, were willing to give him, then I think he would have at least got up into the Prem and if not win the league. But Leeds did have a cracker this season, obviously, which would have made it very difficult for him. But it's a hard one to call. But it was a rash decision for Chelsea, but I think it's more than deserved.
On the performances this year.
Aye.
I don't know, like... Yeah, and I get that. I think the problem is this year alone, it's just a sign of they had 1 year where it looked like they were making progress and Chelsea were this fun team to watch and they brought in all the kids. And like, oh, this is nice to see they're making positive changes, this is good. And now this year they've just gone back to the Man City, well, I suppose the Chelsea way of doing things, which is we're just going to shit money all over this squad and just fucking win the league by money and nothing.
The one massive mistake they made was dropping Tammy Abraham.
Oh yeah, no, they did with that.
Obviously, they lost Pulisic due to injury.
Yeah.
And the reason I left Pulisic out of the mix here when you were talking about players that they purchased, because I think Pulisic is a great player.
Oh yeah, no,
I think he's in the wrong. I think he's in the wrong team. And he's a bit like a Jota for me. If you put him into a team that's willing to get the ball in and about the area, he'll score goals. He can run in behind, he can score goals. He's a great player. So you put him into like a Liverpool team and he'll thrive as much as Jota does.
Yeah.
You look at him in a Chelsea team, he makes Chelsea look bad because they are bad. That's the player I've seen.
The thing is, though, even when he's played, he's been most of the time when I've watched him play, and if he's been on the pitch, which granted doesn't happen a lot, but he always seems to be their best player whenever I watch him, if he's on the park. And I don't know why, but Lampard just never seemed to trust him at all during his entire time there. He was just like, yeah, nah, you're nothing.
Mental. And Tammy Abraham was scoring goals for fun.
Yeah.
He got dropped again. It's just crazy decisions that were made. But
I mean, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong, though. I get the whole point of view of just like, oh, we can sign Timo Werner, the best, under 25 striker in the world at the moment. Yeah, let's probably do that. Of course he'll be starting, but it's just one of those things of just like, they made this whole thing last year of just like, we're promoting the youth, we're finally giving the kids that deserve the chance to prove. And they did prove it because they got top 4. And instantly all their best performers, apart from Mount and Reece James, have basically gone. I mean, look at Tomori. He's just been sold to AC Milan. He was arguably their best defender last year.
Yeah.
Again, basically didn't play Hudson-Odoi. But how thick were they, by the way, for not accepting an £80 million bid off Bayern for him? That is crazy money that they turned down for him.
Hudson-Odoi, Tammy Abraham, Mount, Reece James, Tomori, they were all great players. Yeah. Even the likes of Loftus-Cheek midfield was showing why he was competing.
Yeah. Another one
and then they go and bring in Jorginho. Fanny. I don't get it at all. But something, I'm glad. I'm glad to see them struggle.
Oh yeah, no, I am too. Like, see when they signed all the players. Part of me was worried, but part of me was glad that I believed in the fact that they've signed too many players. It's good.
Timo Werner's shite, by the way. Timo Werner is shite.
I don't know how, by the way, because he looked so good in Germany.
Aye, but he's absolutely pish. And, every time I've seen him, he's been pish. Ziyech should never have left Ajax because he was dominant in that league. He was dominant in that team.
Yeah.
Now he's pish. He's no pish, that's harsh, but he's in a pish team.
Yeah.
Timo Werner is actually pish. Like, he is pish.
No, but like, don't get me wrong.
Glad.
I know the Nagelsmann effect always happens where like he always gets his players to outscore expected XG, and he always gets his attack to play really well. But even still, he was a good striker before Nagelsmann came in. What the fuck happened to him since he went to Chelsea?
Don't know. And you know, you look at Haaland. Haaland don't leave. I don't think he'll leave Dortmund for at least another 2 years because he's still learning.
Yeah.
And Haaland will be the best striker on the planet at one point. You know, whether we want to admit it or not. And I seriously hope he does come to the Prem. And I obviously hope it's Liverpool.
I mean, I only want him here if it's going to Liverpool. Otherwise, I don't want that cunt anywhere near it, mate.
But, you know, he is the best striker in the world, or the youth side yet. Lewandowski is obviously the best in general.
Yeah.
But I think if you add, when Timo Werner was firing at all cylinders in Germany, was he made to look good in a weaker team when he was scoring goals, or was it?
I mean, part of it.
Or was it just genuine talent?
Part of it for me is genuine talent, but also part of it is Nagelsmann. I think got the best out of him. But I also think as well, you know, that part of this might just be the Chelsea curse of the number 9, where in the Premier they've had 2 great number 9s in Drogba and Costa, and that's it. And Costa was only great for 1 year.
Tammy Abraham was firing all cylinders. They should have kept him.
Oh, I mean, he's still there, and like, you know, he got a hat trick in the FA Cup. Yeah, no. I mean, I have faith that whoever brings him in will see that. Oh, wait a minute, Werner hasn't scored in 16 games. Tammy just got a hat trick, threw Tammy in.
Aye, I know. But
part of me was
enough about English teams. Get that away.
Yeah, no, let's stop talking about football in general.
Aye. Get. I don't want to talk about football when my English side is doing. So.
I mean, I wasn't going to bring them up. That was the point. But like, in all honesty, though, like before we move on, they say they do get Tuchel. They obviously aren't going to sign anyone in January now because they've broke a literal bank to be able to sign all these players. Do you still think they'll get 4th or top 4?
Not this year.
You still don't think they get top 4 this year?
Nah. I did at first when I seen Tuchel was the next to take over. I thought, but nah, I don't. I think
they get it just.
I think Man U, Man City, Liverpool, and Tottenham are your top 4.
I mean, I wouldn't put it this way. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the top 4. But we'll see.
No, in that order, by the way.
Yeah. I better fucking not be that order.
No, because Liverpool will be 4th. I was reluctant to put us into that, but you know.
I was reluctant. You cunt.
I can't. Move on.
Move on.
Just amaze me.
I think here's a good point as ever to. Well, I think now is a good point to introduce our new segment. We're going to be trialing it out for 1 week. So this is like a warning, Fergus, if this is shite. This was the end of it. But basically, good friend of the podcast, Fergus Coyne, is going to do a movie review on the podcast now every single week that we upload. Except there's a twist. It's only 1 minute long. And next week, me and Jamie will decide if that was a good review or a shite review. And, we'll weigh them up. The more good reviews there are, we'll maybe keep them on. The more bad reviews. Yeah.
So this is a review / recommendation for you, because obviously lockdown can be slightly tough on everyone. Go watch the movie that Fergus is talking about.
Yeah. And, also as well, this feels more like a job interview that we're giving them. We're giving them starting them out on a trial basis. Yeah. Here's Fergus and his wonderful recommendation.
Hey, I'm Fergus, and welcome to Movies in a Minute. What you're seeing right now is a little trial run of a segment we've been wanting to try out. Time is precious these days, so the goal of this is to review a movie under 60 seconds for you, the people. I'll be talking about movies of all caliber, mostly shit ones, and maybe some good ones. I don't know how long the series will run for, see if people like it, see if I like it, see if I have the energy for it. But yeah, let's get right into it. So this week, we're reviewing the film Cowboys and Aliens. It's shit. Thanks for watching.
So that was Fergus's 1 minute review. It was either amazing and we really love it, or it's fucking terrible and we're never coming back for this again.
No pressure.
Fergus, this is your chance to save the podcast.
Exactly.
Right. Other North, I wanted to bring up with you. So, have you seen about the uni rent strikes going on across the country? Well, across
Heard of.
Heard of.
Yeah.
So there's been, as far as I'm aware now, there's 64 different unis, or like student unions that have signed up for this. Basically, 64 campuses across the UK have basically said, yeah, no, we're not paying rent anymore. Basically, go fuck yourself. Obviously, this is due to the fact that they're living in a pandemic and they're still getting charged full price for what do we call it, for the rent, which, you know, is a bit shite for them. I was surprised to see Stirling Uni wasn't on there because I know that there was a lot of arguments last year with the whole rent situation when they kicked out a lot of foreign exchange students during the pandemic. But hey, clearly they're more willing to part with money compared to others. But what's your thoughts on it? Is that fair enough that they strike for it or not?
I mean, if you believe change is needed, start a movement. You know, everyone's got the right to speak. I think it's a tough one. Having never been a student, it's hard for me to say, you know, rent bills are easy to keep up with because I never know. Based on the, you know, knowledge of what I have and, you know, it's general common sense, it's clearly difficult to continue with your bills. You know, a lot of these students who have part-time jobs will be let go of their work during the pandemic. Therefore, rent becomes increasingly difficult already. So it's a difficult thing, but if you believe in change, 100%, they've got the right.
So, like, looking at it from my point of view, okay, the place where I lived, so for those of you that don't know, I went to university in Stirling. The place where I stayed in, I mean, you've seen it, Jamie, it was basically a prison, the way it looked. There's no arguments about that. But, you know, you get your water covered in that, you get your Wi-Fi covered in that, you know, you get, and also your one bedroom in that, plus the use of, like, facilities. Except we started to pay for washing, which was really annoying. But yeah, so it cost, how much did it? I think it was about like £450 a month for me to stay there, which equated to exactly how much my SAS came to. It was about £450. SAS is what people in Scotland use to, like, as financial aid that you pay back as such. So it worked out great for it worked out great because, you know, all of my money then went to that, and then all of the money that I made from my actual work is what I had to survive off on, if that makes sense. So for me at the time, look, was it overpriced for what it was? Yes. Was it cheaper than renting any other place in Stirling? Yes. So, you know, I will look at it objectively, but I will also say in that point of view, the year after I moved out, the whole of Stirling had to drop their rent prices, like in the student accommodation, because they knew it was that overpriced. So that might be one of the reasons why Stirling hasn't striked or joined the strike as such, I guess.
And so, just on that topic, was that 450 per person?
Yeah.
Right, that's fucking outrageous.
That's the thing for me. Like, for me, I was obviously, well, I say I was lucky. I was working at Adobe, so I wasn't lucky. But in the sense, I was lucky that I had my own income on the side, so I could afford my own food, and more importantly, I could afford to go to the pub every night, which was the main importance there. and everything. My SAS basic, it was really weird. I basically rented a place from someone, got a loan, paid paid that all off with that loan, which I'll obviously have to pay back in the future. But I basically, for argument's sake, for the time being, I got basically a free place to stay. Obviously, that changes in the future, but for the time being, it was free.
You can see why it can be difficult for people, though.
Oh yeah, oh no, 100%. I'm totally on the student side. I don't want anyone to think otherwise. But it's like, so like back at the start of the pandemic, up in Dundee, I've also got quite a few mates up there. Their student dorms is actually a bit nicer than down here. It was like a proper flat, but during the first pandemic, everyone got locked into like their homes. Like the doors were locked, so people couldn't leave because because basically some people were infected, and because they just took the as far as I'm aware, basically the student, like whoever owned the place, took the decision being right. Everyone's infected in there because a few people happened, and they're obviously like all seeing each other and doing whatever. So they just locked the doors and wouldn't let anyone out. They literally trapped them there. They were not allowed to leave.
Mate,
locked the gates, locked the front doors. No one got out. The same happened as well though when I was in Jersey. One of my my aunt's boyfriend's daughter was saying that like her pals were like in Manchester and Liverpool and whatever doing their courses. And the same happened. Like they literally put like those like thin wire metal fences like around like building sites. They literally chain linked them around like all the doors of their campuses just to make sure people couldn't break out. So what happened? People then started to riot and then started breaking all the glass to get out, basically.
It is mental, isn't it?
I know, like, I mean, it's a bit weird that you took the decision because a couple of people in that building were infected. Everyone will be infected.
It's I don't know if you've seen it as well. The British gas strike.
No, what's that about?
So there's British gas engineers went on strike. I think they were on their 8th day the other day. So I don't know what it is now, but basically
Picked a good
the
time
strike
to do it.
Was that?
They picked a good time to do it.
Aye. So the strike was regarding pay and conditions, right? It was more so for the conditions. So basically, for long-standing engineers, rather than increase the pay, they laid these.
You broke up there. Sorry, what did you say?
So for long-standing engineers, rather than increase their pay, what they're doing or what they were doing was laying them off and then bringing in apprentices.
Oh.
And then they were, every year the pay was meant to kind of go up in terms of inflation, and it never was. So it was just loads of random stuff. And it had me a lot kind of reading into it, but basically now I think they're on their 8th day and there's about 150,000 customers being backlogged. So yeah, British Gas are going to need to kind of take care of that situation. But read up on it if I were you, and then next week or whenever we do a podcast we could talk about it again. But it's it's a very, very intriguing strike.
I mean, since you're the one that's read on it, do you think they're right to do it as such?
100%.
Have
you ever looking at it, and especially knowing that what's that?
No, sorry, you keep going.
Especially having been in that trade, for a very small amount of time, I know exactly what, reading some of the stories for individuals that work in it. I understand exactly why they've done it, so it doesn't make sense, and I would fully support it.
Okay, well, fair play to them. Good luck to all the students and British Gas people out there. Hopefully, you get what you need.
No.
Have you ever gone on strike or threatened to go on strike as such?
No.
There's a period.
Never been in a situation.
I don't know how much I can say about this, but I'll I'll choose my words carefully, okay? So
Nice
during
choice.
during my time working for a previous employer, who shall remain nameless for the point of this,
Right.
there was one summer we were working incredible. I think it was the year of the World Cup, the last one, so 2018.
Yep.
Oh, hold on. You have disappeared for some reason. There we go. I don't know why I'm there. Sorry. So anyway, during the year of the last World Cup, so 2018, it was one of the hottest summers on record. Pretty bad.
Yep.
And during this time, I was working in the kitchen. Very, very hot. Very. I know you know where I worked here, but try to be
No, of course.
anonymous. I try to be anonymous here, but anyway, so we're plowing away, and the air conditioner in this place has never worked. Now, it always got hot in there, but it used to be like a sort of whatever. But this time it was like genuinely like this might kill someone sort of thing. Like a few people were fainting because of the heat. A few people were like, one person had to go to hospital because well, not like heat stroke, but dehydration they had. Like serious shit. Anyway, so we're working away, and I'm just like, God, I can't believe there's not like a law about working in this sort of condition. And my mate turns around to me, who's a lot older than me, and they're like sort of mid-40s, and was like, "Yeah, no,
Told you there was one.
There is a legal precedent." And I'm like, "Oh, so what's the temperature?" Expecting it to like we're well off it. It turned out we were like 3 or 4 degrees above like the legal limit to work in. Like it's too much. Like everyone should just walk out at that point. Like you're legally allowed to. And
What is it, 28 or something, isn't it?
mate, it was like 36 or something like that in that room that day. It was like fucking unbearably hot. And and I'm sort of like, why would we do something then? And like I'm saying this guy, right? So I won't name the guy, but he like does not take shit from anyone. He's a great person to work with. Like if you're being mistreated, he will always stand up for you, sort of thing. Like if you put in the graft, he will always stick with you, sort of thing. So if anyone,
Robert, what a man.
Fuck you, fuck you. But yeah, nah. So I was like, come on, let's do something. Like, because if anyone I expected to have faith in that, it would have been him. But he was just like, Liam, if you walk out now, they're going to replace you tomorrow with someone that will take this shit. Like, it doesn't matter if you go. It doesn't matter if you've been here however many years. You will be gone the next day, and that'll be the same for me. That'll be the same for anyone else here. If we walk out, I guarantee you tomorrow they will have someone else in our jobs. And it's just all that shit because all these like the government and whoever else is always like, oh, you have employee rights, you make sure you use them, sort of thing. It's just like, well, yeah, okay, we do, and that's great, but we're all fucked if we choose to invoke them. Fair enough if we.
No, the thing is, if you'd done it correctly, it would have been fine. The thing is, you can't just walk out or go on a strike or that. You've got to, as much as I hate to say it, you've got to go through a union.
Well, that's the thing, right? That's the thing. So I said to them, so right, okay, so then can we get in contact with the union then? Is there a union? He's like, no, there's never been a union here because people don't stay around long enough to make a union to fight for your needs. So it's just like, well, we're stuck from day one. You just have to work through that shit.
Aye, but at that point, you would go in and you would need to invest in your own union. Like you would need to go and pay a monthly fee to be in a union.
I tried to do that. I tried to start that when I was there, but everyone was just like, nah, like we get paid such little amount, like we're not going into it. It's just like, yeah, but you're not seeing the benefits of what this will do later. But yeah, nah, I never. And from that moment as well, my cards were fucking marked as well by that because whoever was in charge could fucking tell what I was trying to do. And they were just like, yeah, Liam, you just need to go back to doing your job and basically shutting the fuck up.
Standard stuff.
But that's good then for the. That's why I'm sort of bringing it up. So I do have a lot of support for those folk that do it because unfortunately I was in a position once in my life where I should have taken action, but due to the events around me, I couldn't. So that's why I do support those. If they have a reason for going on strike, it's just like, yeah, I hope you get what you need.
It was similar to obviously when this coronavirus outbreak happened. We were made key workers and told we were going to continue to work.
Yeah, key workers
Um,
in a phone shop.
Yeah, so the union was contacted by many people, and it was shut down the next day. Wasn't happening.
Nice.
But he's got his own union.
Like one for is it like one for one for Stirling, one for Glasgow, or is it just one for all?
No, it's one for Scotland, one for England, one for Wales, one for Northern Ireland. And then obviously they've got what's that?
If you don't mind saying, like, how much a month do you have to like contribute to something like that?
No, so the actual work union is free.
All right.
And obviously, individuals who again I'll no name, they pay their own personal union,
right?
Because they don't trust, the EU one. Probably shouldn't be naming the company, but
it's only till recently that you've stopped wearing the actual shirts on for every single podcast.
Aye. Mute the name. It's definitely not you.
Definitely not you. No, I think for like out of the 58 podcasts we've done, I think for about 45 of them you've worn some sort of merch in all of them.
Exactly. You know something? I love the place. Great place to work.
You're scared that they're watching, Jamie, by any chance?
No. See, like you've got you get your own union within the. It's just a great place to work,
Jamie, blink twice if you're in trouble.
No, not at all. I'm fine.
I love my work at EE. But yeah,
Yes, I do.
Moving on swiftly then before we get in trouble. Someone else that's in trouble for promoting sex toys. Ooh, Zoella. Have you seen this?
I did not know this.
Did you not? All right, so
No.
famous.
When you say promoting them, does she show you how they work? Because I was very intrigued there.
No, don't get your fucking hopes up. Don't get your hopes up.
That would have been very good.
No, so former, no, she actually still is a YouTuber, I think, but we'll say pretty much former YouTuber Zoella. Caught a lot of flack this week for promoting sex toys.
Fair.
And, and for some reason people are having a go at her because apparently she still has a child-based audience, even though that she's... it's a load of shit, basically. Like,
where was it promoted?
On her so like here's the thing, right? So she has like her own brand Zoella, as it is, like that's hers. Yeah. But she also has like her own sort of website, which as far as I'm aware, she doesn't technically own. It's like she sold off the rights to part of her name by the sounds of it. So like so like her brand now kind of branches away from her in certain aspects. So like the Twitter page that this was promoted off of wasn't like her own Twitter page. This was like a Twitter page, like a company's one that has like 200,000 followers.
Right, okay.
And it's basically just like a generic review of like sex toys. But my thinking of it is, right, for one thing, right, what age is she? She must be like in her 30s now, I imagine. Or at least she'll be in her late 20s.
I would imagine I'd imagine she's 30.
Yeah, right. She doesn't have a child's audience anymore. I refuse to believe there's kids out there that are going back and watching old Zoella videos for their time off. Like, it just doesn't happen. Next.
She's 30 years of age.
She's 30, right, okay, right. I think the woman's allowed to talk about sex if she's 30, personally. I think that should be allowed. But it's just that.
I also think she's allowed to display it as well. I think we can't just leave it short.
Right,
if you're going to promote it, display it. That's the way I see it.
So that's what your issue with it is. You didn't get a proper demonstration, so you don't know how to use it. Are you? I'm
Is
dyslexic.
that-
I can't read, so I need a visual demonstration. Yeah.
I think she should get her scuddies off and start
No,
it.
no, no, no. Oh. But it's just like one of those things where it's just like, why do people care that she's doing this? Or it's probably not even her. It's probably the company brand Zoella is doing this. Like, why are they bothered?
Mm.
Like, if anything, like her audience, like most audiences, will have grown up with her, so they will also be like, women in their 20s or 30s and or whatever. And if anything, right? So say if it is like a younger demographic that still looks at them, say it's like like folk in their late teens or whatever. Surely it's good that they might actually be learning something like this rather than just doing it without any experience or any knowledge whatsoever.
What age are we talking though?
No, I'm also like talking about folk that are legally allowed to do it. Like when don't you think it would be more beneficial to like learn from? Well, put it this way, right? Don't you think it would be better, right, that someone learned firstly from a sex toy rather than just going raw deep off of some random person?
Aye.
Away with
I think it
words,
should be a
like-
case. Thing is, though, right? People would argue 14-year-olds could watch the demonstrations and then learn from that. Because that's when you start, as much as you don't want to admit it or look at it, that's when kids of our generation and generations, after, that's when sex is spoken about at school.
That's
Sex
right,
ed
you
was
get-
something that was in S1 and S2.
I don't. Did we have when you and me done sex ed? Was there actually sex toys there? Because I don't remember. I don't think there was there?
I don't remember it at all.
I remember Man Duff getting made fun of because he knew the page 3 models, and I can't mind who the teacher was, the baldy, Mr. Oh, fuck, what was his name? Deputy head at the time made fun of him for knowing the page 3 models. That's the only thing I remember about it.
Do you want to put this out there? I don't think I remember at all doing sex ed.
But I definitely remember doing it. I can't tell you for sure if you were in, because we'd done it as a form class. I don't remember if you were there or not, but I remember doing it. We done it
Don't
twice
remember it at
actually.
all.
We done it once in we done it once in S1 and done it another time in S4, I think. So like we had like 2 hours of learning about sex across 6 years.
Don't remember it at all. But so the way I see it with Zoella is, she obviously isn't, but promoting it isn't a bad thing on the basis that if her demographics between 14 and 28, it's more than acceptable.
Yeah.
If it's 8, 9, 10-year-olds, it's obviously
obviously at that point it's
Sure.
different, but it won't be. Like I refuse to believe that there's 8 or 9-year-olds reading the Zoella brand like website or whatever it is. Like that just won't happen.
And if it was on a Twitter page, they also aren't allowed to have it yet. They're not old enough to have Twitter.
It's not even her Twitter page, it's like a branded Twitter account. So like they would have had to
They're using her name though, so obviously if they
fair.
see that on the Twitter
Okay,
page, then
okay, fair enough. Yeah, what age do you
then
have
it
to be to
shouldn't.
have? What age do you have to be to have Twitter?
16, I think.
That's it. All right. Well, there you go then.
I believe so.
Solved. Thayjamieallan, Wayne.
That's it.
I totally never was on any sort of websites before the age of 18.
It was a.
Do you mind the? Do you
I was on
mind
Pornhub.
I
just,
that's fine. There's definitely no check this if you're over 18 box, is there?
Nah, there isn't. So fuck it.
Oh, there.
All you're doing is accepting cookies and then bashing. You know what I mean?
Is that what you do? You wank off the cookies?
Cookies in one hand, cotton in the other. Oh yeah, well,
a great night at the Allan household.
Well, no, come on now.
Come on now, what?
Not the Allan household, just my room.
I mean, that's kind of what I mean when I mean your household, because you don't actually own a house. That's sort of what I mean when I mean that.
Fair enough.
Fuck's sake.
Fair enough.
Right, Jamie. Final topic that I have at least.
Mhm.
Now, Jamie, you're a man of equality. a man for gender equality. I know that.
Mhm.
Almost can't continue. Right. Okay. Do you know what the male gaze is, Jamie? I learn media. I know what the male gaze is. Do you know what that is?
The male gaze.
Do you know what that is?
No.
Okay, so a lesson to you and others out there: the male gaze is typically when things on television, things on adverts, things in all forms of media are directed to what men want to see. So you're watching a scene, typically say Michael Bay. Just watch. There'll be a woman walking, and just like her full arse is out for everyone. That's what the male gaze is. Okay,
Ah, right.
it's
The way it should
catered.
be then.
No, so Keira Knightley, the actress.
Oh,
Yeah, she's basically.
I've seen this actually.
Have you? Basically, for those that don't know, she's obviously famous for like Pirates of the Caribbean, Bend It Like Beckham, other films. She basically came out. Well, apparently, it's been a rumor that she's had a no sex clause in her contract, which is, I think, weird enough thing to be leaked. Like, why is that become news? Just like she doesn't want to have sex on camera. I mean, fair enough. She's not a porn star. But the whole thing is now she's basically saying that she won't get like nudes or like even slightly nude in a camera if there's any man that's directing it. She'll only do it if it's a woman that's directing it. Simply because she doesn't want to promote the male gaze as such. She wants to make it like, if that's the vision, then that's fine. But I know it's coming from a neutral standpoint if it's from a woman, rather than if it was for a man. If that makes sense, I suppose.
The thing is, though, it's a no nudity clause, so it makes no sense. So
I thought
she's willing to do it.
I thought she had a no sex clause as well, or is that?
No, it's a no nudity clause.
Ah, right, okay, right.
So she can't have a sex scene in a movie, right? That's fine. Fair enough. That's her own choice. But if it's directed by a woman, it's fine.
Are you there for saying, Jamie, it's sexist on her part?
Aye. Fuck her.
I knew this. I knew this is the way this is going to go down. But like, so see if like, I don't know, fair enough. Like, it's totally her choice, and I can respect it for that. I can understand why she wants to probably make stuff nowadays that is away from that trope of the male gaze.
Yeah.
But my question is though, like, do you think that she's? Because obviously there will be some directors, i.e. your Michael Bays that I've just mentioned, that will do it literally just to put like folk in their seats and go, there's our tits. Whereas, whereas there might actually be some competent male directors that would maybe do it for like, if it did have a purpose for storytelling. I'm not obviously saying there's many of them, but I'm saying it might happen. Do you think then on her behalf that is a bit selfish? Or do you think that's just, fair enough? If she believes only women.
It's her own choice.
Yeah. Fair enough.
It's her own choice, but it shouldn't be, I'll only do it if it's directed by a woman, because that is sexist. But again, at the end of the day, it's her own choice entirely.
If you were
like
if you were a big movie star, right? Say you're like Tom Cruise of like the whole world, right? Would you have any specific clauses you'd want in each one of your contracts for a film?
It depends. It depends on what the film is and stuff. Obviously, it's very hard to say. I think the one thing I would always have would be, if it was in it and I was uncomfortable with, I could say no to it. That's a very vague clause. But what I mean is, like, if they wanted me to, suck off a guy in a movie, it's not happening.
Yeah, no, you'll do that for free without the cameras rolled.
Nah, but if they want me to have a gay sex scene, I would look at it. It'd be something I'd be open to. But because you're not actually doing that. But
you're wearing like pads and shit, so you're not actually like doing it.
Aye, so but if I'm asked, right, in the movie you're just going to tell this random guy for no reason other than because we want you to, I'm going to be like, well, Why does it play a part in the movie? And if it doesn't, I'm not doing it.
Okay.
So I think the ability to say no.
Have you heard the one that Arnold Schwarzenegger always has to have a personal private gym for every movie that he signs off on? He has to always have a private gym.
Oh, I mean, if I was being a dick, I would always have.
Yeah.
I would always have food at the ready. You know, my
I
favourite
think
drink ready.
to be fair, if you're a movie star for like a big film, I imagine you can say to any cunt, "Here, I want a Mackey's," and they'd probably go and get you a Mackey's.
Aye.
It's all like you went like take the
They've
piss and you have to be a
they've
certain
got paid
distance.
lackeys.
Yeah. I think that would be an interesting and horrendous job to do, because I'd be very interested to see what like people actually ordered. Like, how far would they fucking make people work? Like, oh, here, I want certain type of fruit that you can only get from the other side of the country. Get it now for me.
Or you know, the worst thing is like I want Skittles, but only the green ones.
Do you reckon there's folk actually out there that do that?
100%.
Oh no, actually, do you know what? I've just remembered a good one. See, when I was in Paris on holiday about, I don't know how many years ago now, a good few years ago now. We went on a stadium tour of the Stade de France, and they were saying in it that the guy that was showing us around was like, "Oh yeah, Madonna performed here once," but when she came, she demanded that the whole so like they get like where they sit for a performance, it's like the changing rooms the footballers will sit in. But like obviously gets altered to whatever their needs are. But she demanded that the whole changing room was painted pink for her. Look at this. Free meals on the ready.
It is.
I know. Good for you.
Carry on, probably go back a bit and start that again.
And yeah, so anyway, Madonna went to Stade de France to perform. She demanded the entire changing room was painted pink, just cause. I don't know why that helps you perform better. I don't know what that would do, but they obliged and they painted it all pink. The next week, they said that AC/DC were performing. Of course, when they seen that the entire change room was pink because they're big, muscly men, they demanded it was painted black just for them. And they refused to perform until it was painted black. So they had to delay the shows by 2 days, whilst a full crew had to come and paint the rooms different colours. And then also had to paint them back to blue or something like that for when they left.
Fucking mere coats of paint on it, and I've wore coats in my life.
I know. It's just like, though, why do you give a fuck? Why does this, like, I could get, like, you yourself there, look, you're sleeping in a pink room every night. Doesn't bother you.
Purple, whoa.
Oh,
Purple.
Sorry. But either way, that doesn't hurt your masculine confidence. Like, I mean, both are arseholes for doing it in the first place, but it's just like, you know, why? Like, what does that do?
I think it's more, they've got more to lose in it. They've got an image to keep up, whereas I've no.
No, I'm sorry, right, but this will be like a privately guarded.
Could you imagine though, right, if you're like, backstage footage at AC/DC and it's just all these fucking men sitting in a pig room?
Don't give a fuck.
You know, for your image. No, we don't, but for your image, it would maybe look daft.
No, even if see if I was an actual hard man, right, that shit would not bother me. The shit of,
you don't know that though, because you're not an actual hard man.
What are you fucking talking about, Conor?
No, but put it this way, right? So Conor McGregor, right? He's about to fight, and he's pictured with a Northern Ireland Ulster hand in the background.
That's different.
He's not going to want that.
That's different.
It's no different.
It is different.
It's no different.
No, right.
It's like me if I was fighting in Sweden, there was a Sweden flag behind me. I personally wouldn't give a fuck.
Yeah, but you'd want the Union Jack or nothing. You'd be there fucking.
I would want it. I would want it.
You'd be screaming, "God save the Queen" at them.
I would want it, but if it wasn't there, I'm not going to go, "Ooh."
That's a real flag you want.
It's best when it's behind your head there.
Yeah, so you can see it through me. But no, I'm sorry, right, but like, no, there's a difference, right, between if you've seen Conor McGregor and fucking hell, Jamie.
Is it the ready?
I'm gonna fucking set that on fire. Nah, I'm actually. Yeah, wear it as like a scarf tied around you. Hopefully you choke yourself while you're doing it.
Fuck yourself.
But nah, it's just one of those, like, see if Conor McGregor was in a changing room, right, and there's fucking pink walls behind him. I don't think he'd be like, well, no, okay, maybe different, but like, see if I was him in that situation, or see if I seen him in that situation, rather, wouldn't be arsed. I wouldn't think, oh no, he's a fairy, because his reputation.
No, see, that's the thing. I wouldn't personally think that way as well.
Yeah, but it's like, say, his reputation already precedes him. So if you are a hard man, whether or not if the walls behind you are pink doesn't change from the fact you're a hard man. If you're Madonna and you've got this image as a great pop star of the ages, if you've got black walls behind you, I'm not going to suddenly think, wow, she's a fucking emo.
Right, clearly you're thinking this. You're thinking into this too much.
No, but I'm just saying, like, you know,
I think they've got an image to keep up, and they think that that's the best way they can do it. Whereas me and you, when they give a fuck.
True.
I still don't give a fuck.
What can I say to anyone? You know, if you're willing to buy me and Jamie a studio, we'll happily take a pink one. You know.
Aye, or I'll take any colour, and you as a fans can paint it.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
You get to choose a colour.
I like that. Yeah.
It's a good shout, isn't it? You know, one fan every 5 episodes can choose a different colour.
I like it, yeah. I mean, I'm not painting it. We need to hire some poor bastards to paint it, but yeah.
No, you'll paint it.
No, well, I paint it. I do everything else. You can paint it.
Oh, well, we're not going down that route again now. Fuck's sake.
Before we end, why have you still got crutches, by the way, behind you? I've been wondering all episode. Is that from when you dropped the radiator on your toe, or?
No. This was for when I pretty much fucking tore my ligaments and fucking all sorts of
right. Yeah.
To be fair, they're only there because I've not went and put them back in the hut yet. But
that's actually a good question. What is the most pain you've ever been in? Like, what's the worst injury that you've ever done to yourself? Or?
So actual pain and no like inside pain. Two different.
Yeah, not like mentally. I mean, like actual like physical pain.
Probably my ankle. That was agony. No, in fact, no. My finger when I got it caught in the door, a full nail and finger was hanging off. Aye. To be fair though, right, it wasn't painful at first, but then, like, because obviously I was like pure, you know, in that state of shock and you just don't feel nothing.
Yeah.
It got fucking terribly worse as the time went on.
The same happened when I fractured my pinky. It was fine when it happened, and then the next morning it was in fucking agony.
Just in agony, aye. When you're in a state of shock, you feel fuck all, but then it gets really bad once you actually realise what you've done.
True. Yeah, for me, I always remember when I was in primary school. In our primary school, there used to be like metal stands where you could like tie your bikes to. We were playing like Tig or whatever. It would have been Bulldogs, whatever. And I tripped over one of these metal frames and bashed my knee straight into like the metal post. I could barely walk for like 3 days. And of course, I thought my mum was pure evil because she was obviously saying to me in a good way, "Oh, you need to like walk off. You need to like, you know, you need to like keep walking on it so it heals." But I was just like green every time I had to like stand. I was just like, "Mom, I can't do it." That was bad.
And your mom actually knows best.
Yeah, I know. Well, especially in her case being a nurse, but yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
And then the only other one I can think of was, I remember when I was in my first year of college, I got the pretty bad like flu for like 2 weeks. That was fucking horrific. I've never had like, not, you know that way of like where like, you know, if you've got like stomach pain, you feel like you need to go to the toilet, but nothing happens. It's just like sore. Like it feels like your gut's been like torn apart inside. Like it was bad. Like I couldn't stand up. I couldn't sit. I could only sort of like half crouch. That was the only way it was comfortable. So I was like lying on my bed on my knees, like in a fetal position, like crouched up for like 2 weeks. That's the only way I was comfortable.
Fair enough. I mean, I think it's nothing on the coronavirus, so count yourself lucky with the flu.
Well, remember
The knee one does sound right now.
Well, remember though.
What about it?
I am genuinely tempted. I do. Part of me does really want an antibody test to see if I did have it that time, but I suppose I'll never know.
So, normal.
The way of the world. So, you got anything else to add before we finish?
Fortunately, no.
No. I did want to say to you, by the way, I know this has got nothing really to do. Well, kind of does, but nothing to do with this episode. But I have to say, the last episode we done with Neil, I think thinking back on it, that was actually my favourite one that I've done, like over Discord. That's like the best one I think we've done as like a Discord.
I think so.
I really like.
What made you feel like that?
Just good chat. You know, it was like one of those things of like, in many ways, the way I like these sometimes is that people can be very different. You know, we're lucky in the sense that we know a lot of different people, and in many ways, you and Neil are very different, but also very similar in that regard. So I think it worked quite well for that. And I think it was just a nice sort of turn of pace where we've got someone that's done something a bit different compared to other people. It was interesting to hear from that side.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
it's your favourite one.
It's a good start. It was a really good start to the year. So yeah, hopefully it continues. We've done well this year. We've done well. We've done well since I've come back from Jersey. We've been really on it.
Aye. Well, I can't bonnet if you will.
Hopefully it stays like that.
I know. Aye. We hope.
Fingers crossed. But yeah, until next time then, I suppose. I've been Liam Whyte.
I've been Thayjamieallan.
And we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
We talk football and current events, sitting and chatting with the very best guests. We're two Scottish boys and we're loving it. So if you like witty banter, check the former #1 podcast on iTunes. Sitting and chatting.